Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about the situation with Jan Irvin, which it's unfortunate. I haven't really spoken anything about Jan since I stopped working with him after we made the series Silicon Valley's Secret Weapon, The Shadow History of Burners. And part 7 of that was recorded in August 2017, I think. And since then, he seems to have been on quite a strange journey and a lot of different things that he's been through in his life. And then that's culminated in, at the moment, he's basically making these accusations that I'm a CIA agent. And I think anyone who has experienced going on a YouTube channel and talking about truth and parapolitics and topics like that, you expect to be called an agent at some point. That's just part of the internet. Oh, that guy's an agent. Oh, that one's compromised. Oh, that one's a shill or whatever. And that just goes with the territory, but present the evidence. If you're going to make claims about people, present evidence. And in this case, the evidence is actually all from me disclosing these things. And I had a very popular software program that was downloaded by millions of people all around the world. And it was widely used. It was used by almost all the Fortune 500 companies, and the CIA bought licenses, FBI, tons, Army, Navy, Air Force. I believe Scotland Yard might have bought a license in the UK. It's just all around the world. People bought the software. Hundreds of thousands of people bought the software, and tens of thousands of corporations. So, yeah, that included the CIA. But Jan's edited this video to emphasise me talking about that, and to change the talking so that it sounds a bit more nefarious and stuff like that. And you can see my comment here. This is childish, and you have to wonder why my rebuttal is here. Now that comment's actually deleted, so this is what we're dealing with. Someone that blocks and bans you, talks about you behind your back, and doesn't even give you the right to post a rebuttal to their allegations. And remember, Jan's supposed to be all about the Trivium method, so you can really see from the behaviour that I'm showing in this post that he's got nothing to do with the Trivium. But here's a picture of Jan with Joe Rogan, and basically I recently have published this post about Q, Alexander Kugan and the Council for National Policy. And this is, Defango coming out saying that he was of Q and invented Q with a bunch of LARPers. Like, what a load of rubbish. I debunked that in part 1. And then in part 2, I talk about, what I think is really behind this Q PSYOP, which is, Alex Jones, InfoWars, military intelligence, the group disclosed by Steve Pachenik. That's who's doing these PSYOPs. And so Jan Irvin has gone on InfoWars twice recently talking about ayahuasca and psychedelics, and he turned Joe Rogan onto psychedelics. And according to Alex Jones, Jan actually launched the ayahuasca movement as it is today. And later, I guess, became a whistleblower for the CIA's involvement in that project. I guess is how his story goes. But as well as being critical of Q and InfoWars, I also, in my Crypto Beast number 13, the GovLARP episode, 19th September 2018. So in the wake of journalist and truther Jen Moore's sudden death in the Washington, D.C. area, we looked into her Twitter, and her last post had been calling out this guy Craig Sawyer. And so I took a look into Craig Sawyer, and I've presented a lot of evidence about the Sawyers, and I've been in contact with people who've worked directly with them. And I've also written a post in defence of Fiona Barnett recently, who has been very vocally critical of Sawyer. So here you see on my birthday, Aspen Sawyer. This is the first time anyone actually from this group has responded directly to any of the claims that we've made against them. And all she does is say, well, they obviously haven't seen our video footage or whatever. We've actually shown the evidence of who really did these stings for Vets for Child Rescue, and a lot of their information is not accurate. So I've responded to a tweet posting accurate information, checks from the production company, Craig Sawyer's production company, going back to Craig Sawyer, CRS Security International, 7,000 a month, plus he was pulling 4,000 a month out of the charity. So, some of these people are making big bucks off the internet from being truthers, and I'm not asking anyone for any money or donations, and I'm not asking anyone to just believe anything I say. I just present evidence and check it for yourself, and all the people that are criticizing me, where's their evidence? You have to wonder, why are they so quick to leap and pile on to criticizing me without evidence? Like, take a look at this guy Defango, right? Another guy who's blocked me so that they can talk about me behind my back. Steve stole code and became a millionaire. He's also a loser spook. So what code? I mean, I wrote a software program myself. How did I steal the code? I mean, it's a pretty basic thing. It's like a notepad text editor, but you highlight a word and you make things go bold and put a graphic in and stuff. It's like, it wasn't rocket science, dude. But yes, I do know how to code, Defango. What about yourself? Anyway, I have to deal with this, and the comments from Jan's thing where I'm not allowed to defend myself, and people are just piling on. Oh, he's CIA, he's CIA, he's CIA. Well, what are you supposed? How do you prove that you're not CIA? Right? I mean, it's a silly accusation. All I can really do is say, okay, well, here's evidence of what's going on. So, in this post, first of all, I asked people on Twitter, should I do it? 58 votes. That's a couple of percent of my entire Twitter following. So, people cared, and people thought that I should defend myself. So here's the post defending myself, and go through it. I'm not going to read everything out, but I'll just highlight a few things. First of all, the very first slide of my whole series with Jan, it's here who I am, what I've done, and I've sold software to CIA, FBI, White Sands Missile Range, National Proving Grounds, Livermore Labs. I mean, this is all stuff I'm talking about in this presentation series, right? The ties between the military and industrial and intelligence complex, the deep state, social engineering, and Silicon Valley. Like that's my whole research series is about that. And so yes, I know about those things because I have been a Silicon Valley insider since the birth of the World Wide Web. And I'm not talking about insider like going to parties at Zuckerberg's house or anything like that, but I'm talking about professionally in my career doing business with tons of people and having tens of thousands of corporations using my software, right? Now, how does that get to I work for the CIA because they bought software? Well, imagine like I'm a musician, right? I record an album and put the album out, and someone from the CIA comes and buys the album one day at a store. How did I work for the CIA as a musician? I mean, this is the exact same thing. I just put the software on a website, people come, download it, give a credit card number, and then they have a license key, and I see the email address. So I never even spoke to anybody from the CIA, but I did once in my life meet someone who used to work at the CIA, and that's detailed in this post as well. And that's basically Jan's pieces of evidence are me disclosing this to him, proves that I am an agent that was really secretly working for them in secret, but giving all this info. I mean, it doesn't. The logic of these accusations don't make sense, and you notice that Jan's actually very careful that he's not deliberately making any accusations. It's snide insinuations and highlighting, from the editing of the video. But anyway, I categorically deny that I work for the fucking CIA or any other agency or interest or club or cult or group or sect or anything. I mean, what part of I'm an independent operator is it difficult to understand? And it's amazing to me that the people that criticise me, call me names, call me loser and things like that, are on their fucking YouTube channel begging for donations, And you'll see in this post, I actually supported Jan, I think, pretty generously for the contributions that he made in helping me get my research out. And, he did give me a platform on his channel to publish my research, so I appreciate that. But why has he turned on me now? Is it because the money stopped? Is it because the research stopped? Or did somebody get to him? And sooner or later, when someone say that guy's an agent, that guy's an agent, that guy's an agent, 100 times to different people, and they're convinced that all those people were agents. 100 agents were sent to get this guy, right? And none of them could get him. Whatever. He outed them all. At what point do you think maybe that guy pointing all the fingers actually is the one who's the agent? And I'm definitely not the first person to speculate on that, and I've got links to some of that in this post. But yeah, look, I stand by my research. You can look at my limo crash slide. You can watch my GovLARP presentation. If you look at Crypto Beast 14, where I'm interviewing David Livingstone, he's quite critical of Trump, and I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm still, putting that content on my channel because I'm interested in the truth. And this is literally the front lines of the internet right now, because we have Joe Rogan at war with Alex Jones, and Alex Jones has said that Jesus has sent him to destroy Joe Rogan, and Alex's weapon of destruction for Joe Rogan is ayahuasca and Jan Irvin. Alex has apologized profusely 20 times to Jan for making fun of his name the first time he went on the show, and kind of begged him to come back and be involved in the InfoWars family again. And he's gone on and done 2 shows with Alex, and then he's said, "Oh, look, I'm a victim of censorship too." So the narrative of Logos Media is becoming very similar to the narrative of InfoWars, that we're victimized, we're kicked off the internet, we're demonetized, the CIA's out to get us, Joe Rogan's CIA. And Jan's like, I talked about InfoWars and then I got kicked off YouTube and got demonetized, and Steve Outtrim, CIA. It's kind of uncanny, right? Kind of uncanny. Joe's got the #1 podcast in the world, and Alex has got the #1 news broadcaster in the world. So this is kind of a big deal that I'm sort of being drawn into this, and these accusations being made against me. Coincidental timing to me doing this Q post, revealing like a lot of this stuff, and a lot of the stuff I give credit to No More News, Adam Green, and also to Matthew North, who've done great research into just showing, Alex Jones in his own words, how he's been recruited by military intelligence, how they sold supplements to troops on military bases, and that the economic benefit from that is what they used to fuel the InfoWars campaign. I mean, the military literally built InfoWars, right? And this guy that goes on this channel is coming and telling me that I'm the CIA agent. Okay, well, where is your evidence? And Titus making a great point in this tweet here about the PSYOPs admitting they were PSYOPs. That Alex Jones was the test case to see if America would accept censoring free speech. We did. So hang on, like the InfoWars family is against censorship and in support of free speech. So why is it that Jan censors me and blocks me and doesn't allow me so much as a comment of a link to a rebuttal page on a video that he's made about me, if he's all about free speech? In fact, what you see is that this guy is a sophist, and he's trying to control the narrative and spin facts up into a story that really they don't fit, and he can't prove that they fit. So Jan turned Joe Rogan onto ayahuasca. Here's Captain Al Hubbard and Timothy Leary saying that ayahuasca was one of the compounds isolated by the CIA as part of the MK Ultra program. Jan's also pushing this historical revisionism of Anatoly Fomenko. There is some quite interesting stuff in that. History, Fiction or Science is the book. He basically is suggesting a new chronology based on astronomical dating of stories from around the world. And the current chronology we have coming out of Scaliger could very well be fake. I mean, that's something worth looking into. That's become popularized right now as this idea of mud flood and this kingdom of Tartaria. And it's making a bit of a resurgence because of the mud flood. Jan actually doesn't believe in the mud flood part of being linked to Tartaria, as far as I can tell. But anyway, he's sort of, it was my way or the highway with this Fomenko stuff. You either believe that everything in history is fake and only this Russian guy has the truth, or you can't participate in discussions with Jan. And that's really the essence of what happened between himself, Joe Atwill, and me. And in this post, I post the dialogues and sort of, you can see for yourself how all of that evolved, and then how the story changed from really an intellectual disagreement over research into, you're a CIA agent, which, is a very common pattern with this guy, Jan Irvin. But here's accusations he's made against me. I'm an agent. I run teams of trolls against him. I'm a pseudo-billionaire. I'm a pedophile. I'm a Satanist. And I walk the left-hand path, and I promote Kabbalistic inversion of the Bible. I mean, this is all a load of complete shit. None of this is true. Produce one piece of evidence for any of these claims that you've made. These claims are outrageous to make about a person. Any of them on their own. But to make them without evidence, and to make like them all together, and also to just leak it out here and there, and sort of sly insinuations, tweets, and comments on people where that I can't respond because I'm muted. Make these. You're going to make these accusations. Present your evidence and make them directly to me. I mean, you know where to find me, Jan. I'm not hiding. Anyway, it's a load of shit. People freak out about the art. That's why I've moved the camera around today so you can see that most of my posters are still up, but I move a few of them for business calls and things like that. But Susie Trice's amazing research project looking into the Macy conferences, the evolution of cybernetics and the counterculture being intertwined. And that's what my research is entirely about as well. I encourage you to study my research. And if you realise that this is what I've dedicated years and years of my life to learning about and figuring out what really, really happened behind the scenes with this stuff and how it all fits together, to find an artist that also dedicated years of her life to researching this and painting about it and telling stories about it, weaving the stories into her art. It's incredible, And so she was named the artist in residence at CERN, and people on the internet think that CERN is being used to summon demons and open the gates of hell and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe it is, but I have nothing to do with her being chosen as the artist in residence, and it doesn't connect me to CERN in any way. I'm going to be talking about CERN in upcoming episodes. But coming back, like, you called your thing sausage, you called your thing hot dog. You must be a pedophile because you did that. I mean, what a load of shit. Sausage was my nickname in college, right? I called my company Sausage Software because that was my nickname. Why do you call the company Apple Computer? Well, I've been through that in my series with Jan, and that's all totally occult reasons. Well, there's nothing occult in this. Look, this is the first logo I drew myself, and then later it got more professional and stylized and something like that. So look, he's dressed up sort of like a mafia guy with a violin case and a slick suit, so that must prove that I'm in the mafia, right? Is it? This software was really successful. People downloaded it all over the world. Like, how does that prove that I work for the CIA if just because the CIA downloaded it and used it? Like, that's stupid. I don't get it. I don't get it. So anyway, this is the problem with a lot of these claims against me is how do you just prove a negative, right? I can't prove to you that I don't have a spaceship. People say, well, I've seen Steve, I've been with him every minute of the day and I've never seen him with a spaceship. So I was like, well, it's because it's in space, If you haven't been to space or been to every bit of space looking for that spaceship, you don't know that it's not there. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here. So, these people should present some fucking evidence. Jan's saying I run teams of trolls against him, or I troll them, or whatever. Well, where? How? I don't do that. Why would I bother? I've got other shit to do in my life than this. And why would I troll someone that I donated money to? Like, it's just. There's never any explanation given for any of this. Just the allegations are made. The allegations are made, and they don't make sense. They don't on the surface. The allegations themselves don't make any logical sense. Let alone the fact that there's no evidence, and let alone the fact they're completely fucking false. So there's a lot of content on my blog, on my channel, talking about Burning Man and how I don't think that that's a suitable place for kids, and the fact the idea of exposing children to every sexual depravity and vice before they hit puberty comes straight from Crowley and straight from Kinsey, and that's terrible. It's the absolute worst thing about Burning Man in my opinion, and I'm against that. People say, well, how can you say anything to promote Burning Man if Burning Man's this big evil DARPA CIA thing? And it's like, well, how can you use the internet? Because the internet's come from the Pentagon. The internet's a DARPA thing. So if you know the internet's an evil thing from the Pentagon, how can you use the internet? You can't. What am I supposed to do? Let's go become a monk. I mean, the reality is these things exist in society. Burning Man exists, and it plays a really big role in society. A much bigger role than most people realise, and a much bigger role than even most burners realise. And I'm trying to make people aware of that. And should you go? I think you should go. You should go and see this for yourself and see, am I talking shit? Am I making this up? Or is there something to what I'm saying? Is it carefully researched and well documented? And you can go to Burning Man and not buy into the evil satanic elements of it, absolutely. But if you go there and you're unaware of those, then you're definitely getting caught up in it. You are being used as a pawn in a black magic ritual. If you go there and you're aware of it, those things have no power over you. That's not how it works. And so, speaking of these accusations of pedophiles, I mean, have a look into this guy, Robert Rowe, that's been a frequent guest on Jan's show, right? And what he got up to. I don't actually like talking about this type of content because it's quite graphic and brutal, you know. Purchasing this 5-year-old girl. I mean, it's just horrific. It's horrific. And then, you know, when this is actually exposed and pointed out to Jan, you know, his guest as part of this doomsday sect that got kicked out of the Mormons, the Knights of the Crystal Blade, and here's Jan defending this guy and sticking up for him and saying, well, you know, he was circumcised. What the heck? Why are you talking about a child molester's dick and defending him, right? And this person's calling me a pedophile. Like, that's some fucked up shit right there, man. But anyway, they're saying that hot dog, it's pedophile code for boy because of the Stratfor emails where Obama flew hot dogs into the White House. Now, when that came out, to be honest, I thought it was heroin. I never thought that it was $65,000 of little boys. But then when Pizzagate came out and they said hot dog stand in Hawaii, and then they came out and said, well, this is the pedophile code. A hot dog is boy, and, you know, walnut sauce means adrenochrome and stuff like that. And the thing is, if you look into Pizzagate, which I definitely have researched that, and, you know, the child sex trafficking is real, the CIA's involvement in it and intelligence agencies' involvement in this and blackmail rings and everything is absolutely real, documented, proven time and time again that they're doing this type of stuff, right? So it's not surprising to me that they could be using these code words, and hot dog could be a code word for that. But how the fuck was I supposed to know that in 1995, that in 2016 these emails would come out from Hillary Clinton's chief of staff and it would turn out to be some pedophile code word? I mean, how was I supposed to know that? But, you know, as it turns out, is it actually a pedophile code word? No one can prove that, because these code words, they came out in the 4chan discussion of Pizzagate. They weren't found anywhere before. And there's the FBI document on identifying pedophiles with all the symbology and everything like that. It isn't in there. So, you know, the fact that even that has anything to do with pedos has not been proven. But, you know, of course that's not why I called the thing hot dog. I mean, my thing's called sausage software. My competitor's called hot metal. Hot what? Hot mail? Well, that was actually taken, hot mail. You know, hot meal? You know, there's only so many things you can come up with, but only one of them fits with sausage, which is hot dog. And hot dog is associated with Americana and, you know, freedom and liberty. All around the world, people know what hot dogs are, whether they like to eat them or not, you know. There's an old saying about see how the sausage gets made, you know, and that's basically, you know, the world of software, right? You don't see what goes into the code, but people are going to say now that, oh, well, you know, you put all the CIA spy stuff in the code. Well, no, we didn't. And why? You know, why would the CIA want to spy on people that, you know, are freaking editing web pages, you know? And if they did, why wouldn't they just spy on them through the browser? I mean, the browser was literally called Spyglass. That's the name of it, Spyglass Mosaic, right? It came from the National Supercomputing Center, the University of Illinois, Mosaic, right? And Spyglass was licensed to every single browser. So why do they... What are they going to do with my company? How would I even, like, why would the CIA just come to the CEO and offer them money? Why wouldn't they just, like, put an agent or operative in the company and just insert the stuff into the code, and the CEO would never know? I mean, if I was running secret agents, I would be doing stuff like that. But yeah, there's never any explanation of any of this type of stuff. So all I can tell you is what really happened. You know, people downloaded the software and they gave us a credit card number, and, you know, we got money in the bank account. You know, that's how it turned out. I didn't give a fuck if it was from the CIA or the Air Force or the KGB. You know, or, you know, Jenny and Bob down the road. It's money's money. You know, buy licenses. Everyone buy more licenses. You know, but, you know, you also have to remember this is something from my life. In like 1995, I started this company, and I retired from it in 2000. You know, so this is like 20 years ago. They're talking about that. I sold software for $29, right? 20 years ago, and because of that now, anything that I say or any research that I present, you shouldn't look into it because I'm an agent and a shill. working for the CIA to disinform you or whatever. I don't know. It's ridiculous. So anyway, a bunch more proof. I want to just highlight a couple of things here, and then if you're into this, you can go read through the whole post. But it's really just to get this stuff down on record. But you've got Jan here saying, I released this video 9 days after our series ended. I mean, this is a load of shit. The video that he's talking about was released by Brian, my co-worker, on 18th of February 2007. Right? I mean, and look, it says Sausage Software Steve Outtrim, so it comes up in any basic search for my name. That video has always come up for fucking more than a decade, right? So I've posted some information here from like PayPal and evidence of my first contact with Jan, and then my donations to him, and it's actually quite staggering to see it all in one place added up, because I wasn't thinking about it so much at the time, but it comes to $8,700 plus trips that I bought him, meals I bought him, computer equipment, books, stuff like that. So you could probably call it 10 grand, and it's like, wow. There's other channels I would much rather have given that money to in hindsight, and other people doing great work trying to get the truth out there, and getting attacked with these character assassination and disinformation campaigns like they're doing to me now. They're far more deserving of that than this guy. But I post this to show that if you do believe that his claims are true, that I'm an agent, then here is absolute evidence of his being an agent himself and being paid by me from the CIA, with presumably this is some CIA slush fund that I'm giving him here, and he's accepting it, taking it, and making videos with me, editing the videos for me. So he's doing all his work on behalf of the CIA, and he's duped again, right? Also, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I don't want to fully critique all of Jan's research, because that would take a while, and I think he has done some good research, but he makes out like he's the only person that's ever talked about this stuff on the internet, and that's not true. I mean, this was all exposed. Basically, his whole shtick was from Executive Intelligence Review, which is Lyndon LaRouche's publication, December 5th, 1978, and Jan insists that he's never read this article. Well, why not? If you're a researcher and this is your main topic of research and expertise, and everyone keeps telling you, hey, you should see this article that says everything you're talking about in the 70s, why wouldn't you look at that, He says it's 30 or 40 pages. It's bullshit. It's not that long at all. But this guy just keeps lying, and provably lying again and again and again. Here's John Marks. He did FOIA requests to get these documents about Wasson. RGW, Robert Gordon Wasson. CIA document MK Ultra Subproject 58, right? Jan makes out that he's discovered all of these connections, and he's made this great contribution to research because of that, and it's not true. I mean, many researchers have studied this space and dissected the counterculture, and a lot of this stuff, if you read like J. Stevens' Storming Heaven or Marty Lee's Acid Dreams, a lot of this counterculture and CIA information is in there and presented really, really well. But Jan says all these books are limited hangouts, and so in a way he's trying to put anyone off the scent of doing actual research for themselves by just saying that one's an agent, that one's a limited hangout, that one can't be trusted, don't do that, and it's presenting the image that only he can be trusted, follow him, he's the gatekeeper, and while he's doing that, he's blocking anyone that has a dissenting opinion and kicking them out. So it's total cult-like groupthink. I've got some information for the record there about his whirlwind romance with this poor girl Holly Seeliger, and I really would recommend to anyone to go and watch this video, which thankfully was saved at the Internet Archive. How burlesque and modelling ruins my marriage. Jan Irvin found out about Holly's past as a burlesque dancer and model. Here's the Shit Hits the Fan video, originally streamed live on YouTube for all to see. So I caught this live on YouTube, and it was absolutely horrific. And it shows you what a psychopath this guy is, that he would publicly humiliate someone like this. And then a month after doing this, he discarded her anyway. I mean, they're not together now. She's got a great channel, Zoon Politicon. Go check it out. Support her. She puts out really good content, and maybe because of that, she was targeted by this guy as well. He does kind of seem to be acting like a deep state attack dog. So you got to screenshot comments with this guy while you can, because he's deleting them as fast as he possibly can. Get them off. And he's turned this whole thing around into that I'm a Crowley type Satanist who made software for the CIA and NASA. Well, no, I made software for anybody that wanted to make a web page. If the CIA and NASA wanted to make a web page, great, they could use my software, so what? I didn't make software for fucking NASA. NASA ring me up one day and say, we need to make some space web pages. Can you put some extra special fucking deep state functionality in it? Nothing like that ever happened. It's ridiculous. And then, he's calling me this fan of Crowley's that's read every single one of his books, which is absolutely not true. But here he is, like, oh my God, we're so lucky we got our hands on Aleister Crowley first edition for $1,200. We got to touch it. Oh, I spoke to them all about mailing it and getting a down payment, and we could get a discount negotiated on this rare book. Why the fuck do you want to spend $1,000 for an Aleister Crowley book, right? This is what Jan Irvin wants to do, not me. I collect knowledge that's gone out of print. That's what I'm interested in. Look, I don't need to get into all of this stuff. Come through it if you want. This video of Jan versus Chris Dorsey is absolutely crazy. Like, look at his eyes. He's like that through the whole thing. And this person is unhinged, like he says. And Chris Dorsey is convinced that Jan's a government agent. He continually presses him on the matter through this entire call, and Jan really does a pretty weak job of defending himself against it. And you see like all the usual sophistry and misuse of the Trivium from him that we've come to expect. But you also see, if you've just watched a couple of minutes of that video, that this guy seems to be maybe got some issues going on there. Here's the agent list. All of these people, I don't know what that missing name is. Someone will probably say that was redacted by the deep state and that's the true secret controller of all things on YouTube or whatever, but it just looks like a error to me. Anyway, all of these people basically, like, Jan's had on a show or talked about them or been on their show or whatever, and seem to be supportive of, and then turn around and, no, they're an agent, don't be trusted, you can't listen to them or anything. And when you look into it, like, some of these people I actually know personally pretty well, and I know exactly what happened between them and Jan, and every single time it's actually a disagreement over some of Jan's research or a point they're making, where he refuses to see their side of it and refuses to consider evidence that they're presenting. So instead he blocks them, and then he calls them an agent. I mean, this is a lot of people, and there's people in here who probably are agents, but there's some really good people in here as well, and I think most of us are just like scratching our heads like, what do you do, like, once you get added to this list? And it's become sort of predictable to me anyway to watch people go through this journey with Jan, knowing where it's going to end up. That they're close to him one minute, and the next minute they're a scarlet woman, and they're discarded on the pile, and he's moved on to the next thing. If you believe him and you believe that all these people are agents, then is this like the dumbest truther on YouTube or something, that he's just constantly getting sucked in by these CIA agents that come on his show, right? Like, everyone, like, it's so easy for a CIA agent to get on Jan's show and trick him, and then only once you've finished doing the thing on the show, then he figures out you're an agent, and then don't listen to any of the information. But he's got the video up, it's being monetized, so that's cool. Whatever he says doesn't matter after that. A couple of comments to these videos where they have said that, he was in Patton State Mental Hospital, and someone saying that they actually met him in a psychiatric treatment centre. Now, we can't consider this to be evidence. This is hearsay evidence, but how would you gather evidence on something like that being true, other than someone that was in it with them saying, yeah, I was there, I was. The names of one of the places checked out. And there is some other evidence that would be court admissible, which is actual court records itself, where he was ordered to complete anger management classes by the court. So there is obviously some sort of issue going on with this guy, right? I'm not saying any more than that because I don't have any more information than that. But there is a mysterious turning point in Jan's life, which was when he revealed to me that he had been flirting, was his words, with this lady called Nora Maccabee Hathaway. Her husband is in the Pentagon. So Nora Maccabee is from the Maccabee family. They're quite connected to Pizzagate because her father was James Alefantis' lawyer. And I've said here, David Brock's lawyer. So he's revealed this to me, and I've sort of like freaked out, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, this person is from Pizzagate, this person is CIA, this is David Brock's lawyer, the Folger family are their friends who have been linked to Bohemian Grove, Miles Mathis has linked them to the Manson murders. Alright, he's like, yeah, whatever, but she's really nice and she smokes pot. Alright, and she said Pizzagate was a psyop. Okay, well, great. So you've got someone who's an insider to Pizzagate saying that it's a psyop and privately admitting to you it's true. That's big information. You're a truther, aren't you, Jan? Don't you have a research channel on the internet where you try to bring true information to people? So why the fuck haven't we heard anything about this for nearly 2 years now, that you've been sitting on this information and knowledge and not using it to expose these, finders cult, child sex trafficking intelligence operations, right? What does you get? You just, she's a genuinely concerned person and you're trying to get to know her and she's really enjoyable to talk with. It's like, I don't know. I find this extremely suspicious. Like, I basically, this is, a month after this exchange with Jan, I wasn't working with Jan or communicating with him anymore. I finished my series with him, got everything out in one big go in part 7. That's why it's like 5 hours long. And it wanted nothing more to do with the guy. And then I was continuing to stick up for Joe Atwill, and then he turned on me for sticking up with Joe Atwill. But all of this, and then he turned on Bill Joslin, he turned on Clint Richardson, people who, we were some of Jan's longest friends. He doesn't have many friends, this guy. And I think we all probably, the guys I just named, considered ourselves friends of his. And so it was very surprising to see him turn so rapidly. But, if you read Clint's piece on it, there's a pattern of behaviour that just keeps coming out, and it's done to many, many people. It's not just us. But something seems to have triggered him, and his behaviour's never really been the same since this, having this interaction with this Maccabee lady, including his marriage, which at some point he reveals that was an arranged marriage. So, what the hell is going on? Did the CIA give him like a bride? And he's got this other Robert Rowe guy on his show who's trafficking in child brides in Utah. Like, what does he mean by an arranged marriage? And, calling me a pedophile while he's like cultivating a relationship with, one of the families connected directly to Pizzagate, a CIA family. And this is fresh connections, right? And he's saying, let me just jump ahead in the post a little bit here. But he's saying that I met the director of Central Intelligence, and that's not true at all, right? I met a guy called James Woolsey, who used to be the head of the CIA, and I met him at a charity dinner in Washington, D.C. in 2009. And at that point, he'd been retired from the CIA for 14 years. So meeting somebody at a dinner doesn't mean you work for them. We didn't talk about the CIA, and this is another thing that I freely disclose. So all this evidence that shows I'm a CIA agent is actually just me saying that I sold software to the CIA once, and then once I met a guy who used to work at the CIA. That's it. That's literally their evidence, right? That's okay. Well, you once met a guy who 14 years before worked at the CIA, so therefore, obviously, you were recruited by them. Well, no. I mean, how does that work? Wouldn't you go to like a meeting at the CIA or something? Or, someone from the CIA would ask you some questions or send you an email or something like that. I don't have anything like that. I've never been to the fucking CIA. I'm not a US citizen. I can't even walk into these like high security government buildings, right? This is not how it works. I'm in New Zealand, but I've lived in Australia for most of my adult life, Australia and California. So, the Australian intelligence recruited me to like move to San Francisco and investigate Burning Man so that I could go on a Jan Irvin show and release the details of it. Like, what is this fucking theory? None of this makes any sense. And this is guilt by association. You met a guy once, and that person once was in the CIA, therefore you are in the CIA. These things do not connect. It's a complete logical fallacy. Then we got, not long after that involvement, with Nora Maccabee, Jan starts, all people that I'm collaborating with on research, he starts reaching out to them privately, direct messaging them saying, oh, Steve's dirty, they figured us out, the CIA's watching us all or whatever. And I've got these research groups on Facebook, and this is how the CIA is spying on people. and they found this video of me admitting he sold software to NASA in the South. Well, I mean, this is in the first fucking slide of my series with Jan. So why, what he found video? What the hell is he talking about? But yeah, these whisper campaigns are going behind people's back. Here you've got Titus Frost saying, Defango told me a while back that Steve was a pedo. I asked him for proof. He pointed out this hot dog thing. I need way more evidence. So you've got Defango doing the same thing as Jan, direct messaging people that he sees me having some kind of research collaboration with or interaction with, and saying, oh, stay away from that guy. That guy's an agent. That guy's a pedo. That guy's a Satanist. And it's like these little whisper campaigns. They do it behind your back. It's a very interesting playbook, and it's something that I've seen in the burner community many, many times. So that was basically after finishing my shows with him that Jan reached out to Matt like that. But more recently, here he is reaching out to Carl Hassel February the 17th. And he's like, I'm banned from Facebook. Why were you helping CIA agents attack me? How much did Steve pay you? I mean, he just got this out of the blue on his phone. And, you've seen my show with Carl where we're looking into Peyote Way. And, he's getting on in years a bit, Carl. It's quite a shock to the system for him to get a message like this. Very, very, aggressive, accusatory and threatening. Like, you're helping CIA agents attack someone. Like, what? I mean, who sends messages like this anyway? This is an unhinged person engaged in a smear campaign. So, Jan said that my friend Vahid is the head of Amazon, and because he's the moderator of this group, that means that Amazon's spying because Amazon did a deal with the CIA. It's very massive leaps of logic here, and unfortunately that falls apart because the grammar is completely faulty. My friend Vahid Razavi was never the head of Amazon. He's a sales guy. He's worked in the Amazon cloud sales guy, like mid-level guy. And, not only do I tell you that, but you can read about it for yourself because he's written a book about it, which is available for free. So read his book, Ethics in Tech or Lack Thereof, and he'll just tell you exactly what he did for Amazon and how he got treated by them. And he was definitely not an Amazon insider and definitely not working in any of their intelligence projects. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous claim with not the slightest shred of evidence. And this is how Jan Irvin's mind works. Someone worked at Amazon. Amazon did a deal with the CIA. Therefore, anyone who worked at Amazon is a CIA agent. And therefore, anything they do in their private time is actually something they're doing for work, and it's actually like a secret CIA project that they're doing in their private time. So it couldn't be just, a bunch of friends who like to talk about conspiracies made a Facebook group to discuss it because, half their other friends won't talk about it and think that they're nuts. Couldn't be that, could it? No, it's got to be this great big CIA plot because, on the brain database, you can connect Amazon to the CIA. It's showing the quality of this guy's research, and it's really disappointing because it is a misuse of the Trivium. It's easy to find out who Vahid is. He's got a book about it, for fuck's sake. It's free. It's easy to find that out, but you don't bother. You just make these accusations. And then he's saying that that my nightclub being called Zos was because I'm into this magic of Austin Osman Spare, which what a load of shit. And then it's zone of separation because it's the temporary autonomous zone. So I mean, which is it? It can't be both of these things at once. It's either one or the other, right? This Austin Osman Spare guy, I don't think he talks about temporary autonomous zones. I'm not familiar with his work, but I did buy a book because it had Zos in the title. When I used to play video games, you couldn't put 4 letters in for SAUS. You could only put 3 letters. And when I put SOS one day, my friend read it out, SOS. And I went, no, SOS. But he said SOS. So I'm like, well, I can't really put that. So I put ZOS, And so when I went to registersausage.com and I got it, I was like, that's great. I tried to get sauce.com.net.org, but it was gone. I couldn't get it. But zos.org was still available. So yeah, I got a 3-letter domain name, and not many people can say they have that. It's good to attach it to a club. Why not? I wasn't doing anything else with it. My friend there, Lee, that I went to my first Burning Man with, his name's actually Glee Zos. So he suggested Zos could be zone of separation, and I didn't know what that was. But it sounded cool, you know. I like the idea of separation between reality and illusion. And later on, I learned that, you know, it's this dividing line from Serbia and Bosnia. And this comes back to Jan again. Look, here he is, like, speaking Serbian or Bosnian or Yugoslavic or whatever. Like, he lived there in the 90s, when all this revolution was going on, when the Electronic Frontier Foundation was there. I mean, when I talked about this in part 7 with Jan, he was awfully quiet when I started talking about the origins of the Occupy movement being able to be traced to the Serbian war. So anyway, that's his first wife, apparently. It's really quite mysterious what he was doing in that period of his life. The internet footprints on this guy are really light. And then he's saying, look, Zos.org and Satan. So he's saying that this logo here is Satan. Look, I get how some people see devil horns in this creature. I see it's like a spaceman's helmet, and he's like sort of touching the top of his helmet, and he's looking up to the sky. But I get that people could see that there's maybe some devil horns, but there's no tail or anything like that. I mean, to say that that's satanic imagery is like... No, I mean, the theme of this... nightclub was tribal tech house. Is this kind of like a tribal dancing creature, like, you know, when the tribal people put on their masks and do their shaman dance and everything? I mean, Jan wrote a book about shamans, so he should probably be able to recognize a tribal dancing figure. But you know, this is their evidence that I'm a Satanist, because this figure to them looks satanic. So therefore, I'm promoting Satanism by putting it. And this isn't even like really the club website. This is just a holding page saying the club is coming. So they stuck up this holding page. Some graphic designer put that figure on it. Yeah, cool. There's going to be some dancing alien spirit beings at this tribal tech house club that's coming. Great. You know, I mean, what is this? What am I supposed to have? I'm supposed to promote a nightclub with a picture of Jesus there. You know, we've got a great Christian cross here, and everyone's going to come to this all hours nightclub because of seeing the cross in the advertising for it. Like, I don't know. It's more of these things. And then look at Jan's logo. He's got one of these dancing kind of trippy spirit figures, you know. So what the fuck, right? Like, this is proof that I'm a Satanist. And you know, the actual logo for the club was really a lot more corporate. You know, like, it's when you're a club owner, you're trying to license your venue out to events, and all these promoters are the ones that would, you know, put events on and license the club out for the big nights, and they would do the marketing, and they would send out the flyers, and they would bring in the DJs and the crowd and everything like that. That's just how the nightclub business works, right? The promoters bring the crowd and put the nights on, and the club owner provides the venue. You know. So this logo here, he's saying it looks like a Crowley hat, and I guess he means this famous triangular Crowley hat. You know, it's the Crowley hat has a pointy tip, and the logo has a pointy tip. The Crowley hat is round. No, it's square on the edges. I don't know. I don't see how he thinks that this badge there looks like a hat. I don't. And if it is a hat, isn't it one of those like triangular hats that people wear at like graduations or something like that? Like, it's not the sort of hat that Crowley is wearing there. You know, I don't see that being the same at all. But you know, to Jan, that's further proof that I'm a Satanist promoting Crowley's works, because the logo of the nightclub sort of looks a bit like a hat that he wore once. Seriously, look it up in the brain database; it'll be connected. When you see the logo lit at night in neon, you know, that was the main logo of the club, is obviously the thing that's on the front of the freaking building. And look, I get that people see an eye in it. I've heard that comment made to me before. I don't see the eye, but I can kind of see how, from different angles and that, yeah, I can see how you would get that. But is it like the all-seeing eye from the dollar bill? I mean, clearly it's not. Is it like this eye on Crowley's hat, this eye of Horus? No, it's not anything like any of them at all. So, you know, another fact that's just completely wrong. But I've shared here video and photos of the club. You can see for itself, like, oh, look, that shape, that's like a moon shape, and that's an occult symbol, the moon. I mean, you know, if this is satanic, where are these satanic symbols? You know, we had a bit of a tribal theme with like some Mayan art there. You know, a couple of masks up there, but you know, this isn't Satanism. This isn't a cult. I mean, have you seen what satanic rituals and lairs and that look like? They don't look like a fucking bar like this with a Mayan thing on the wall, right? This is our DJ booth. Why wouldn't we have all these satanic symbols on it if it was a satanic thing? Like, just to finish up, why did I ever even go on Jan's channel in the first place? Well, I saw his interview with Albert Stubblebine, who is someone that I've done a lot of research on. He's a big character in my area of research, and I always thought Stubblebine was a great guy. Like, if you see this video here about him talking about his learning about 9/11 when he realized a plane didn't hit the Pentagon, when he used, he was the head of Army Intelligence, INSCOM. So he had literally the professional skills of an intelligence investigator and the head of teams of these investigators to be able to look at the footage and imagery that was available of the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon and say no plane hit that building, right? He's the highest level whistleblower that there's ever been for 9/11, in my opinion. And he's passed away now, but he felt comfortable going on Jan's channel. So I'm like, well, that's, I probably can't get in too much trouble if I'm revealing something that someone really doesn't want to get out there. At least I've gone on a channel that's had, some kind of pre-acceptance by having this 9/11 whistleblower on them and not getting in any trouble for it. And then, Jan's work with Joe Atwill manufacturing the Deadhead, it fits right into Burning Man. It's really got me triggered on a lot of my research, reading that paper and just thinking, man, this absolutely is what's going on at Burning Man. And then, through a great deal of research since then, original research, I've been able to prove that, that is exactly what's going on at Burning Man. And we've been able to draw kind of a pretty well and clear and directly connected bow between the 60s counterculture and the Burning Man culture. I mean, Jan quite happily talks about, we've exposed Burning Man, but that's all my research that I shared on his channel. And, he's welcome to it. He's welcome to monetize it. I don't begrudge him that. But I hope people watch that series, and the information in it is fantastic. And even Jan says that he hasn't found any of that information that he can prove to be false from it. And this is 23.5 hours of content, thousands of citations, right? So this is evidence-based research that I'm presenting, and that's the part of the story that really, to me, just is the most illogical. Like, why am I sharing all that research if I'm a deep state agent? Why do I make a video about govlarps if I'm a govlarper? Like, it's just like Jan's accusation that Joe's a lifetime actor because he invented the term, coined the phrase lifetime actor. I mean, you can make these claims, but the Trivium is about presenting the information, the grammar, present your evidence. And then you use logic to show how the evidence fits together to prove the claim. The Trivium is not about just using rhetoric to convince people that whatever you say is true and they don't need to do any research for themselves. That's sophistry. That's a complete misuse of the Trivium. It's a total inversion of the Trivium. And I hope you can see that that's what Jan Irvin is doing to his audience. So if you come and read this post, you can go through my conversations with Jan and Jan's conversations with Joe, and basically how all the split really happened because he was upset over Joe Atwill's microphone and headphone setup, and then he became convinced that was a weaponized attack on him by the Jesuits, and I wouldn't buy into that. I thought that was a load of crap, and I kept asking him for evidence, and so I got blocked and banned and then attacked and trolled, and now to this level of editing videos to try to insinuate that I'm a CIA agent. So that's what this guy's all about. I don't see him publishing his own original research anymore. I see him just getting other people on his channel to present their research. Maybe this will inspire him to go back to it. I wouldn't send money to this guy, that's for sure. And if you do collaborate with him, just know that it's only a matter of time before you'll be an agent too. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, people, and go to burners.me to see the post and read more. Ciao.